well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And then it was like, well, don't let anybody shit on you.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alissa and Katy, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths. Hey y'all, Katy here. It is time for Agent Systems 101. Doors are opening this week on March 24th, and this time we're featuring a special bonus, time management for agents. If you have questions or want to learn more, just head over to agentsystem101.com. And here are a couple of reviews from past students. Tracy said, "Thank you so much. I will tell you I was able to watch a couple of videos one morning while exercising. I actually cried a few tears of relief, excitement, and hope. It was so nice to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm sure that sounds dramatic, but I was just feeling so bogged down and not sure how to move myself forward. I truly can't wait to dig in." And then Emily said, "Girl, I seriously have to tell you how happy I am with this systems course. Your style of systems is the absolute perfect middle ground between tech and paper. I am such a visual person, and with everything being so techy these days, it feels so good to have permission to have a few things on paper, but still have the tools to stay digitally organized. Every new agent needs this kind of support. Love, 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 and we'll be spreading the word to all of my agent friends. Would love to have you guys join me. Again, head on over to agentsystem101.com to learn more. Bye. Hi, Alissa.
Hey, Katy.
Guess what?
What?
It's episode 85.
Okay.
And that is emotional boundaries.
We have talked about boundaries, and we like to talk about boundaries.
We're big fans of a boundary.
But I do feel like just retouching on this, and we have had some more requests for it. So,
well, it's never a bad idea to talk about how we can get better at our boundaries.
A good boundary refresher.
Yep. And there are, I guess this is different than boundaries in your business that are just simply rules.
Right.
This is more, how do we deal with the emotional, overflow from our work life into our regular brain?
Yeah.
Also, I will let everyone know today, Murphy chose to join us in the studio because he did not like being in his kennel. And so we're going to hope that he doesn't bark at you. Okay, so tell us. You have a story? What's going to happen?
I don't really have a story.
Oh, gosh. Is this even going to be an episode?
Yes.
I can't wait.
I do feel like you have to be careful. I have to be careful.
Okay.
Because sometimes you can, it's a fine line, boundaries and emotions and everything. And you can easily become desensitized.
Oh, yeah.
Or lose the empathy that you have for your client.
Yeah, I just wrote down empathy. You need to have empathy in the business to be what your clients need.
Right. I can remember when I was a new agent, I was probably a year and a half in, and I was at our sales meeting. And there was an agent named Jennifer Richardson who has been in the business.
This is a good story. She just called her right
out.
up.
The best. I just love her so much. But she's been in the business forever and has just been through anything you could possibly imagine.
She knows every scenario.
Yes.
Okay.
And she said, someone had said something about what they, how do I do this? Or how do I not get, this seller is so angry and he's so mad that his house isn't selling and I'm doing everything I can. And she said, that is not your monkey on your back.
Right.
That is his monkey on his back.
Yes.
And you have said, come over here, come climb on me.
No.
And she said, you need to take that monkey off your back and put it back on him.
Right.
And tell him that you are doing everything you can, but you can't force anything.
Right.
And I just remember being like, what? I think she might even have been the first person that I can remember that ever actually gave permission.
Yes.
To have boundaries of some kind.
To take a day off.
Yeah, and I've always remembered that all these years later.
Well, yes. I mean, it's funny. Our sellers' emotions are not our problem. They're not our responsibility. We do not control them. Just because your seller is angry or anxious or nervous or upset or
upside down on their house.
These things are not a reflection on you doing the work. And I think what happens is we immediately internalize that and think, oh my God, what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Like there must be something I need to do. Like, how can I fix this problem? Because you don't want anyone to be mad at you.
This happens a lot also with newer agents.
Yeah.
Who maybe only have 1 or 2 listings. And they're like, I'm going to hold it open every single Sunday.
Right.
And I'm going to be doing this and I'm going to be doing that. And I understand because they're excited and it's the only thing they have. But imagine if you still had your boundaries and instead of dedicating every ounce of energy to this one listing, which really doesn't need to happen.
No.
That you were in those extra time, going to networking events, handwriting letters to people,
right?
Doing things outside of just that. Like, yes, I understand it's the only piece of business you have,
right?
And you need to be treating it well, but it does not need to become your obsession, your whole life, where you're like, it's 10 o'clock at night and you're saying, what can I do to sell this house?
Well, you know what I think too, you have to treat it like how would you be behaving if you had 10 listings?
Right.
That doesn't make sense. You're not going to treat it like that. And you have to really set yourself up with good behaviors in the beginning.
Yes.
Because it is a slippery slope. If you have your first listing and you baby it and you check in with the seller every day and you do an open house every Sunday, well, what happens in 3 years when you have 4 listings and all of a sudden that's just your method and you don't realize that you are in a pattern of behavior that is taking up all of your time.
Right.
It's not, no seller needs an update every day.
No.
But you especially want to update the ones that are being anxious and angry and over the top and the squeaky wheel. So then all of a sudden you're only dealing with the sellers that are upset. You're never even talking to the ones that are happy.
The ones that are nice and quiet and quietly wondering in their brain
what's going on. But you know what? The only way to make this work is to have the system in place that you use for every client. Every buyer gets whatever updates this way or this type of system for, each part of the process. Every seller gets an update on Tuesday and you have to communicate with the seller so that they have expectations and understand.
So one of the number 1 tools that when I was doing research on this about setting emotional boundaries in the workplace is that the expectations have got to be set up front.
Yes.
The good thing about us as realtors is that our clients are rotating.
Right. You always have a chance to fix it.
So if you messed up and did not set boundaries with the first person, then it's okay and try again with the next client.
Right.
But the problem is, okay, so I don't know if you have like an example or anything, like thinking back to when you were newish.
Okay.
And because I actually wrote down some examples of like when I had no boundaries.
Oh, great. I can't wait to hear them.
And so I had a listing presentation.
Okay.
That I had made, modified, and I made it based on like advice of other agents.
Right.
And, the things I put in there are things that they told me were important. For example, I had in there at one point that you could call or text me at any time.
Anytime.
Like, that is not okay.
No.
And I also put, if I ever miss your call, I have a 20-minute response. Yes.
You put that out in the world.
It was in my listing presentation.
That's intense.
I was looking through it, and it was so full of over promises.
No-nos.
Especially when it's because, I was new. And the reason that we struggle with emotional boundaries in the workplace, this is any workplace.
Yeah.
Is because no matter what industry you're in, the competition is fierce.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there.
Like, how do I beat out the others?
Yes. Yes. And that's where it really comes from.
Okay.
And stems from. And so it's when you're in that fear-based mindset that all boundaries go out the window.
Agree.
And it took me realizing that this is not healthy for my family.
Right.
This is not healthy for myself.
Yeah.
I was always like scared if I missed a call.
Yeah. Well, that's totally scarcity mindset.
100%.
You're afraid that if you lose this client, there'll never be another client. If you make the seller mad, you'll never sell another house again.
Mm-hmm.
It's all scarcity related.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get super focused on that part, then okay, well, if this seller doesn't work out, it's okay.
Well, you feel like you have to be the best.
I know.
And unfortunately, our industry says the best means no boundaries.
Right.
Hustler.
Yeah.
Working until midnight.
Right.
Answered my questions at all hours of the day.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you heard that as a praise?
Well, right. And remember, I brought that up last week in the things realtors say. And I said, please don't say,
right.
I'm available 24/7 or my business hours are 24/7. No, they should not be. Whether yours are or not, don't put that message out into the world, because then every seller hears it. So Mr. Jones, the realtor who says that, is affecting everyone who's trying to have boundaries.
Right.
So do us all the favor and just get some real business hours.
And setting those expectations up front is totally acceptable. And I think that is also where the templates can come into play.
Oh, yeah.
Because we outline those in several of them.
Right.
Just about like when it's okay, how to communicate. But yeah, setting those up front is just the most important thing, because you can't go back. And that's why we've talked about before, when you respond to the client text at 9:00 at night,
right?
Even if you can,
right?
Even if your kids are sleeping and you're by yourself and it wouldn't hurt anybody. But the problem is it invites it to happen again and again and again.
And it hurts you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to look out for your life also. Okay. Well, I think that confidence plays a huge part into this.
For sure.
So if you're not confident in your listing services, if you're not confident in your buyer representation, if you don't know what your systems are, if you don't know how to talk to your value, then when a client gets upset, you're going to get a little off kilter, and you're not going to be able to say, no, Mr. Seller, it doesn't help to do an open house every weekend. And that's not going to be the way we sell, your home. And here are the stats and figures on why that's not the case. And I'm the professional. I understand the market. And you guys, the problem is that when the clients get emotional, we just want to avoid them or we want to give them whatever they want.
Yes.
Because we just want it to go away.
Well, that's one thing I had made a note on, is that, yes, we are lucky in real estate that our clients rotate, but what about those clients that you have a long-term relationship with?
Right.
We all have those handful of buyers or sellers where their house is taking a little longer, or they're the buyers that look and then take a break and look and take a break.
Yeah.
And it's our job to set the boundaries on, I had a couple that, gosh, they still have not bought a house. Okay.
How long has it been?
It's been about 6 years.
Oh my gosh.
But here's the thing. It's a complicated relationship.
Okay.
But they're a pretty good example, I think, because they did what they were supposed to 6 years ago.
Okay.
Got the pre-approval letter.
Right.
Did everything.
Okay.
And they really don't send me, like, I haven't even talked to them in 8 months. Right now. But what happens is we'll go look for a weekend. They'll get like
gung-ho about it.
Gung-ho, and then I won't hear from them for 6 to 8 months. And then they'll email me a house, and we'll go look, and then I don't hear from them. And then we'll go look. But the thing is that when she does reach out, she wants to go the next day.
Oh my goodness.
And I have gotten to the point where I just had to say, that's not how this works. We have to make appointments.
Yeah.
I have an appointment at that time. I'm going to be out of town, whatever the case may be. But in the beginning, when I was working with her, I was terrified.
You're like, oh, I'll be right there.
Yes. I was just like, you got your pre-approval and you did but it got to the point where if I could make it happen, sure.
Right.
But if not, like, that's okay. And it's nothing to be scared about. But I think even with sellers, when things aren't going well, we hide.
Oh, for sure.
It's just natural. Nobody enjoys tough conversations.
No, it's not fun. It is work. It's a job. I mean, it's not going to be all sunshine and roses. Here's your 10 offers. Now, to all the people listening to this who are in those super hot markets right now and have multiple offers on everything, there will come a time when the market levelizes and your sellers are going to be more difficult.
Or you'll get that one property that's just unique and has something going on with it that's going to make it.
And sellers can be difficult whether they got multiple offers or not, because then they're going to say, well, we should have here comes the inspection, and then the people are asking for repairs, and we should have taken that other offer. And people can find something to be mad about all the time. Like there's going to be like a reason why someone wants to be mad if they want to be mad.
Yeah.
And you cannot be taking that on as your fault.
I had a tough one this year for the first time in a while, one that affected me more emotionally. I feel like I do have to check myself because I don't want to be overly calloused. Like I don't want to get to this point where I'm just too disconnected. And it is a fine line. It's a balance. But this guy, I mean, you could not make him happy.
Nothing was going to do it.
And at first when he started, and he never like cursed at me or.
Right. Oh, I've had him do that.
You know, I know, me too. He never really did that, but he was harsh.
Yeah.
And had no problem saying things like, we are not pleased. You know, and I'm going, what?
No. I don't like this.
I know this is hard.
Oh.
And the first couple blows was just, I was thinking, what do I do?
Right.
You know, and then it got to the point where I was like, this is funny.
Yeah.
I had to. I had to turn it into some sort of game. And when he would call me and say, you know, we are not pleased with how you are, I'm like, you know, me either. The fact that these people keep looking at your house and, you know, discrediting the fact that you have a pool just because it's old. How dare they?
Right. Just
you know?
go with it.
And it was so funny because I actually was talking to my husband about, like, do I let this go?
Right.
Because it is taking a toll on me emotionally.
Right.
And I don't want to lose sleep. I don't want to be laying in bed thinking about this house.
Yes. Right.
But I did have to, and that is always an option. You can always, if things get too bad, fire your client. I felt called to figure this out. It was like a puzzle.
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge. And he never got nicer.
Oh, okay.
But it definitely caught him off guard. And I feel like he didn't know.
Like how to react to that.
Yeah, he wanted me to say, oh, I'm so sorry.
He wanted to upset you.
Yeah, he kind of wanted to bully me and assert dominance.
That's how he got his jellies.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's pretty funny because I wrote in my notes, you know, accepting that someone can't be pleased and being okay with firing your clients or being happy when they fire you, because I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I've fired any clients.
Right.
I just try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But if someone fires me and they were terrible, I've gotten much better over the years about saying, great.
That's okay.
That's wonderful. It wasn't working out for us anyway. And let's just wash our hands of it.
Right.
Move on. Because no one should be losing sleep over this.
I had a listing a few years ago where I had to co-list it with another agent in our office due to like relocation type stuff.
Okay.
It was really like her people.
Okay.
But because she wasn't relo certified, she had to co-list it.
Got it.
So anyways, I thought it was going well. I mean, we had the listing for 2 or 3 weeks. It was showing pretty regularly. We were getting feedback that we could do nothing about, like yard size.
Yeah. Okay.
But it would be 9:00 at night, and she's like, "What do I tell them?"
Like,
and I'm thinking, sweetie, it's 9:00 at night. Why are you even thinking about this? Go watch a movie.
I know, it's hard.
It made me sad, but it also let me know there is a need. And I remember being in those places where at night, you know, how can I make this person happy? And I was like, just let it go. We are doing our job.
Yeah.
And I kind of fussed her. And she said, well, I don't see why you're fussing me when I'm just trying to like do our job and make the client happy.
I'm like, well,
and I said, I'm not fussing you. I'm trying to help you. And you need to understand that there's nothing you can do tomorrow that would make a contract appear.
No.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't work and you shouldn't try, but our marketing efforts are clearly working.
Right.
Because we are showing.
Right.
Now, if we were having 0 showings, no phone calls, no nothing, it's letting me know we need to figure something out.
Right.
But in a situation like that, all you can do is keep in communication with the client and let them know, I'm aware, this is the feedback, there's nothing we can do about it. Let's get through one more weekend.
Right.
You know, I like to do that too. Like just say, depending on how the showings are going, hey, if this weekend nothing happens, let's reconvene next week.
Right.
And then it kind of gives you a few days of a break.
Right.
To not worry about it. Put it on your calendar to call them on Tuesday and say, well, that one showing this weekend said that the yard was too small. And so we're just at a point now where we've had 7 showings and it's time to make an adjustment. Yeah. And the only thing that we can change at this time is price, or everybody has commented on the purple paint, or it's more about communicating.
Oh, great. And listening.
Yes.
That sometimes they just want to be upset, and it sounds like they're upset at you, but they're just upset at the process and they're just upset at the situation. And if you shoulder that as they're really upset at you, don't make it be about you. It's about them and what they're trying to do. And if they feel like they need to berate you, I don't think you should take that necessarily. No. But you can also just let it roll off your back, because they're not worried about you. They're only worried about them and their situation.
Yeah. And there's professional ways to, when they are venting to you, to say, I say this all the time, being a seller is no fun.
No.
And I'm so sorry that, this is happening. Or I've even been having to have conversations with my buyers up front. And it kind of goes back to not over promising up front.
Yep.
Especially when you know that they're interviewing multiple agents, or they know somebody, you're
trying to go out of your way to get the client.
Your instinct is to just promise the world. And if you're not going to do those things, I mean, you really need to evaluate that. But I've had to have conversations with my buyers that I've said, look, 5 years ago, we would go look at 7 or 8 houses a weekend.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm lucky if I can send you 2 or 3 decent options.
Right.
And we may go a week or 2 without even sending each other anything.
Yeah.
Because, we see what's available now. And if none of those work, we're just waiting at that point for the right thing to come up. But really, because what I don't want to happen is them to say, well, she never sent me anything.
Right. She wasn't working.
Right. So really, I think a lot of emotional boundaries takes place up front.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
And
just a boundary in general, but you have to put the emotional boundaries on yourself, because you cannot, whether or not you impart work hour boundaries or boundaries about, your texting policy or whatever those boundaries are, you cannot control your client's emotions. They're going to be what they are. So you have to decide, how am I going to handle an emotional client? And it's a lot easier if you can keep them within the boundaries of your work rules. So I'm not going to text you back at 10 p.m. Now, I've heard other agents and I've had clients that were bad, who the client would text them 10 times in a row at 10 p.m. and freaking out. But all you can do is be like, if this isn't working out, in the morning, if this isn't working out and you need an agent that wants to talk to you at 10 p.m. at night, I understand if you need to interview another agent.
Right.
This is not going to be the way that we do this.
And I found whenever I first started implementing the no responses after a certain time, and even when I could, and the first couple times I can remember sitting on my couch and it was so hard. And I said, no, just set an alarm in the morning to remind you at 9 a.m. or 8:30 or whatever to respond. And the first time that I responded at 8:30 and the client said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I was texting you so late. You know,
Right.
I actually figured out the answer to my question.
Okay, a lot of times that's what happens.
Yes.
They either figure it out on their own or they sleep on it and realize it's not a big deal. So don't let them come into your space. The problem with texting is that you can choose not to go into your email after 6 p.m.
Right.
You can
Right.
just say, I am not logging into my email. I'm not doing it first thing in the morning. I'm not doing it at night, whatever your choice is. But the texting is tough because you're likely going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you can get better at that is telling them at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
texting is not my preferred method of communication.
Mhm.
If you want to reach me, do it via email, whatever the rule is, or I am not going to respond to text after 6 p.m. Please send in an email. I will get it first thing in the morning. Whatever your rule is,
Mhm.
But that one is hard because you're going to see it and it may still ruin your night, whether you respond or not.
And that is the hard thing about texting is that,
I know.
and I've said it 100 times, but to me, a text means, look at me now, I'm urgent.
Right. I'm more important than anything else that you're doing.
No matter what you're doing with your family right now. But the biggest thing I had written down is if you cannot handle it in that moment,
Yes.
Screenshot it and email it to yourself.
I do that all the time.
Set a reminder on your phone, not before bed and not first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So whatever your bedtime routine or morning routine looks like if you are waking up at 6 o'clock to go to a 6:30 workout class, you can handle zero business at that time. So you don't need to be in your workout class thinking about that email that you just saw.
Mm-hmm.
But if you cannot handle it in that moment, don't look at it. And y'all, it makes me feel really good in my brain to say, I can't do anything about this right now.
Right.
It's just going to have to wait.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it has never backfired on me.
Okay, good.
Ever.
Love it.
I can't think of one time that it has.
Hello, friends. We are so excited that so many of you are using the template course, and the reviews are just pouring in, letting us know that it has helped your business as much as it has helped our business.
Yes, listen to this review. Thank you so much for providing this wealth of information, knowledge in template form. So far, I've used a handful and received positive feedback like, this is so professional, or I really appreciate how organized you are. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah,
Your clients are actually going to say that.
Yes.
All right, here's another one. Thank you so much for this. I can't tell you how many times I've started this and how many notebooks of samples and notes I had. I have ADHD and it is super hard to stay focused on getting it done. Having it all in one place is going to make it so nice.
That is what we're here for.
I know, just look, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just use these.
Yeah, nice and simple, easy, ready to go, ready for you to put your own logo on, make it sound like you. So head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/course and check it out.
That's right.
And you're going to enjoy them. You're going to love them.
You're
It's
gonna
going to
love
change your life.
Literally fired my assistant. They are the best. Okay, bye,
Enjoy the
friends.
template.
Yes, enjoy.
Like when you were new,
Yes.
do you have memories of what were before you had boundaries and figured it out?
I would for sure take a late phone call or a late text or jump out of bed to, write up a repair response or whatever it was. I will do it.
Mhm.
I'll be right there. Beck and call girl. I'm ready to go. I think that it was particularly bad, and this computer is a solid 4 to 5 years old. My husband bought me a whole new computer because he said the one I had was taking too long to boot up. And when I went to go randomly do a work task at 9 p.m., that was
took too long.
It was taking too long. He's like, I'm going to just get you a faster computer. But what I needed to get myself were just some solid boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard. I'm not saying this is not hard, especially coming from someone who loves to help people.
Mm-hmm.
It is very difficult for me to say no. I love the hand-holding part of real estate.
Yes.
I love being I do feel it's a service and not a sales position. So
Mhm.
coming from that service mind,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make you have a good experience. And that means I'm here for you and able to hold the hand and tell you the things and be available. But I will say again, those email templates, that's really what changed all of the ticky-tack questions all the time that when people were stressing or freaked out or what happens next or what do I need to do about this termite certificate or how do I do this or when do I hear back on the repairs or how often am I going to get feedback? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Every single one of those things is addressed in an email template that they received at the appropriate time in the process. And then they know. So it's made that easier on me because they don't come at me with the questions at 8 p.m. Now, I want you to think about it as a human. And I tried to Google it, but it wouldn't tell me. How many times do you get a text message that you read and from...
Hey, Murphy.
Oh my gosh, he's talking to us.
It's fine.
Oh,
What's he want?
It's just like having a baby in the studio.
It's fine.
Anyway, how many times have you gotten a text personally from your sister, your mom, or whoever, your friend, and you read it and you want to respond and you don't respond, you forget to, and then you like move on and then maybe tomorrow morning you see it and you respond.
Yes.
Take that brain into your client text. Just pretend like you wanted to respond, don't respond, and then come back to it. I bet your clients won't even notice. They're not, if you don't respond, all they're going to do is ask you again. Hopefully not right away.
Right.
Hopefully at a more appropriate time.
Well, y'all know that I am a lot tougher on my co-op agents than I am my clients.
That's what I was going to ask you about, taking on the agent part. Go.
Yes, because as agents, we do not need to be the agents texting other agents about a deal.
No.
I was telling Katy just last night. Well, I had an agent text me at 5:30 p.m. And she said, hey, I just sent you an offer on Main Street. And I responded and I said, awesome. Thank you so much. I just got to swimming lessons with my daughter. I will respond this evening. Well, it was Monday and we had Monday night dinner.
Yeah, you're like, so, I have family stuff.
So after swim, we go straight to Monday night dinner. And at Monday night dinner, I had all these text messages and I could see them.
From the same agent.
Saying, did you get it? And I understand it's been 2 hours. It's now, 7 o'clock.
Right.
Or an hour and a half. And she's like, did you get it? Did you get it? And then I started panicking thinking, did she maybe it only has like a 9 o'clock response time or
why is she asking me?
Why is she asking me? Oh, like she seems very anxious that I have received her offer, but I was telling myself I'm at swim lessons and Monday night dinner. And at this moment, I can't do anything about it.
Right.
But in an hour and a half, I can.
Right.
In an hour and a half, my 4-year-old will be in bed asleep.
Right.
I can call my seller and say, Mr. Seller, we've received an offer.
Right.
Here's the terms. But right now, there's nothing I can do about it. But then I started thinking, well, what's the deal with this offer that she's so anxious?
Yeah.
So I opened my email on my phone at the dinner table.
Oh, no.
And saw, no, I have until tomorrow afternoon to
plenty of time.
Yeah, like I don't understand. So I thought, I'm not even texting her back. She can just anxiously text me. I know now my time frame.
Right.
And at 8 o'clock when I got on my computer to clear out everything, I emailed her back and said, received, thank you.
Yeah.
And then I called my seller and everything was handled by 8:30. I even sent her a counteroffer by 8:45 p.m. And then she sent me all these text messages this morning. And she said, oh, well, my client will accept if you will come up on the price or come down on the price a little bit. I said, send me a counter. Why are we even having this discussion?
Right.
So anyways, she sent me the accepted purchase agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. So I sent her the email template saying, I'm so excited. We're under contract together. Here's where to bring the deposit check.
Mm-hmm.
Please keep all communication via email for pending transactions. Within 45 minutes, I had this string of text messages from her saying, please make sure that the garages remotes are here. And please send me the flood declaration page. And please send me. And I just texted her back and said, you have got to email me. This has been the hardest 10 hours of a transaction.
Right. And we just started.
Now imagine you have 5, 6, 7, 10 transactions and everybody is conducting business that way.
No.
It goes to show that systems and boundaries go hand in hand.
For sure.
And I will be a lot harder on my co-op agents.
Yeah.
Especially when I've asked you like 3 times to just please.
Does this need to be a text?
No.
If it's a paragraph or longer, it's an email, friend.
I can't believe she typed all that.
That's what I don't understand. If it takes up my full large phone screen.
Phone call, email.
That is for sure a phone call or email.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot. Why? Why do you even want to type all that? Maybe they're voice texting, but even still,
no,
why?
she had bullet points.
There were bullet points.
I don't think you can do bullet points in texting.
I can't. Maybe that's her text template. She cuts and pastes it.
I had to nip it in the butt real fast because it's going to be a long 30 days to
I agree.
if this is how it's going to go.
I agree. Okay, I want to talk about that and how it affects your negotiating power.
Yes.
So if your anxious buyer keeps telling you to check on that offer you sent, I'm going to tell you, coming from the listing agent side of this, I don't feel like you're all that like that serious about this offer. I feel like I can counter pretty high.
Right.
Because you were so excited and anxious to hear. This is what I want to tell the buyer's agent, though. Just because your client said, can you check on that again? Doesn't mean you need to go check on it again.
Doesn't mean you have to.
You can say to them, hey, I think if we check on it too many times, we are giving up some negotiating power because we're going to look very needy and anxious.
Right.
Okay. We've given them a deadline. I will check on it just before that if we haven't heard, but we're not going to keep asking them every hour on the hour if they've responded to your offer, your repairs, your whatever it is, it's got a deadline.
Right.
You don't need to remind them as long as you confirm the agent has received it.
Yes.
I do think that we get confused about that, and that if you don't reach them by phone or email, then try a text, but somehow you have to confirm that the agent has received your deadline item.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, a repair request, an offer, we need to know they have it. Then leave them alone.
Yes.
And please I am not going to lie. I probably use texting in my business far more than you do. But I still put boundaries on it.
Sure.
And I still don't respond to every text that comes through. And I still often say, hey, you're going to need to email me that so I don't forget.
Oh, I use that with clients when they start texting me addresses and things to check on.
No.
I just remind them, hey,
No.
and it is for their benefit also.
Yes.
Because when I get to the computer, I don't want to forget that I was supposed to look up something for them on 3 addresses.
Yeah.
You know?
I think too, because this is definitely not, this is more of a boundaries in general episode, but in the emotional part of this, I think that you have to learn what works for you to compartmentalize. And if that means a break from, so if you get a nasty phone call and you need to go outside and scream and walk your dog or take a nap or do all the things that we talk about in the self-care episode or in the other boundaries episode, like if you need to go and reset before you can move on emotionally, that's fine. I think it's okay for you to have emotions.
Sure.
And it's okay for you to respond to the emotions that are being put into your universe, but you just don't want to let them stay there.
Sure.
I used to wake up in the middle of the night.
I know.
And worried about my seller that was upset. But all of that was always fueled by me thinking there was something else I could do.
Trying to force things.
Yeah. I mean,
and at some point you just have to let it go. It's you cannot force the perfect house to come on the market. You cannot force a seller to receive the offer that they want.
No, and you can't force them to be happy no matter what the outcomes are.
No. And I will tell you, the times that I have struggled emotionally where it was my fault is when I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing.
You knew, right. You skipped a step.
I knew I needed to call that seller back.
Yeah.
I know that I'm hiding from this person and I know that they need an update.
Yeah.
I know that I'm scared to make the phone call.
Right.
But I have also found that the procrastination prolongs the misery so bad.
So much.
I had a transaction recently and the buyer's agent sent us a repair request and we countered with they asked for money. We countered with a different money amount.
Okay.
I didn't even realize that it was going to be a thing. Like it wasn't, we're not talking about thousands of dollars.
Right.
It was a very small amount. I felt very good with our response. I couldn't get her to tell me like how it was going over there. So the next day I said, hey, did you got my response? You know, how's it going? And she didn't respond. The agent didn't respond. So finally she calls me. I had been emailing her. So finally I texted her and said, hey, I just want to make sure you're getting my emails. And she called me immediately and said, I'm going to be honest with you. I am just like, she said, I'm a newer agent. I have been procrastinating making this phone call.
Oh, to her
to my client because I'm just really worried that they're going to not be pleased. And I really am just, you know, they're very anxious first time home buyers. And I said, well, let's talk about it, you know? And then she still has to make the phone call.
Right.
But she waited a whole day and a half.
Oh my goodness.
And has been living in emotional misery this whole time.
Right.
When it could have all been over yesterday.
Right.
So it's like just picking up the phone when you really don't want to.
I know, it's hard.
It is so hard sometimes. But once you do it and the phone call is over.
Then you're just like, I'm done.
Yes. And I think that really, you know, we talk about setting boundaries with our clients and we talk about setting boundaries with our agents, but also it's up to us to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Emotionally. And if there is something that you know you need to do that you've been putting off, you just have to do it.
Just do it. It's
so hard. And I know because I catch myself in these situations.
It happens all the time. I'm like, I'm going to save that for later.
Yep. I'll call him after lunch.
But honestly, the more I have just said, I'm just going to deal with this right now, the less I'm afraid of it in general. Do you know what I mean?
Rip the Band-Aid off.
So the more times you do it and realize that they're not going to yell at you, they're not going to fire you, they're not going to do something terrible, then it starts to be like, this is not that big of a deal.
Right.
But I also typically come to my clients with some solution to the problem.
Sure.
I may take some time before I call them if I don't know the solution. Like I may ask my broker. I may ask another agent. I may try and think of some creative solutions. I'm not just going to go straight to my client with the problem that I know they're going to be upset about with no way out. Like, oh, sorry, this is the problem.
That's why I love my broker. Like I text her sometimes and say, call me when you have a minute. I need your words. That's what I say. I say, I need your words. Because she just has a way of taking the emotions out of what I'm feeling.
Right.
And she'll call me and I'll say, here's the situation. Seller, not showing. This is what's happening. I need to know what to say. And I'll say, here's what I want to say. I want to say, I feel
she edits you.
Yes. So like, for example, she'll say, well, tell me what you need to tell him. And I'll say, Mr. Seller, based on this feedback, I feel that we need, don't say I feel.
Oh, yeah.
Based on this feedback, we need to, blah, blah, blah. Not based on this feedback, I feel we need to. Yeah. Like she just has this way of getting me in the right headspace to, because when you get emotional, professionalism usually goes out the window a little bit.
Yep.
Because even if you're saying the right thing, it's coming from a place that's not business.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this is our business.
Okay. I'm going to tell you something that you just said that triggered me that I've noticed myself being really careful with lately. And I don't know how long I've been doing this. And this coming from an English major. I have tried to stop using the pronoun we when I talk about our transaction. So when I send an offer, I used to say, we have until 6 p.m. to respond. Now I say, you have until 6 p.m. to respond. Or instead of saying, we got a response from the, for the repair request. I'm starting, and I think when you remove the we out of it, then it is like, I'm a messenger. I'm the delivery person. You're the one making decisions. I can give you advice, but we aren't responding to this offer.
Yes,
you are. We are not choosing what repairs we want to do. You are. We are not doing any of this stuff. I'm here. I'll hold your hand. I'll tell you the answer, if you need some advice. But we don't make the decision. You do. Because sometimes I would type it on and be like, I don't feel like I want to be in the mix of that. Like,
Right.
I feel like they need to do it and I need to back out. So it's just something simple like that. That's a total mindset thing. Just you are you and you're providing a service and you're doing your job. They are them and they're the ones who are trying to sell a house or buy a house. You're not selling or buying a house. You're just facilitating.
Yes. It's funny because when I was new, I had this client. It was one of my first listings.
Okay.
I was a crazy person. Okay. I was probably annoying everybody in my office about the fact that I had this listing.
Oh gosh.
I was doing way too much. And yes, that it's okay to say that. Like I was doing too much.
Oh, yes.
So it sold and they bought something else. Okay. Fast forward 7 years.
7 years.
They need to sell the house that they bought with me.
You sold them the house. Okay. You bought. All right.
They don't understand why I am not holding it open every single Sunday like I did their house 7 years ago.
Right.
And they don't understand why I'm not having like midweek open houses and paying all this money for ads and doing all these crazy
You set
things.
up the wrong standards.
Yes, I totally set up the wrong standards. And you know
How
what's
did you handle
funny?
it?
It sold like in the same amount of time
As the first one.
as the first one. So even with all my efforts, the first house that they had took 2 months.
Right.
Horrible 2 months for me the first time because I was
Working.
over the top,
Yeah.
over communicating. I mean, just really looking back on it, it was really quite sad. Okay.
Okay.
And then second go round.
Same time.
Yeah, I'm not catering the open house and
Right.
I'm not doing all these things.
Okay. And how did they feel about you the second time?
So I think at first, so he was very blunt and just saying it's different than the first time. And because 60 days is a long time when your house is on the market.
It really is.
And then he's like, well, the first time you were doing things daily and you were
And
doing
it didn't change the outcome.
It didn't change the outcome. And in the end, they were so happy.
Right.
And I can remember I did my first open house on the house the second go round.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, where are the balloons?
No, because you had balloons the first time.
And I hadn't done balloons in years.
You're like, mm-mm.
And I said, well, he said, so there's no beverages and there's no food and there's no balloon. And that was all my fault because
right. You showed up that way.
Right. He would have never cared.
No.
Except for the fact that the first go round when I had no boundaries and I was spending every penny I had to make other people happy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, because he was there when I got there 10 minutes early to make sure all the lights were on. And, I have my candle and my flyers and
You're
stuff like
it's going to smell good and I've got information.
Yeah, I have all the information. I'll be fine.
Don't worry.
But when he left, I was feeling really down on myself. And he was telling me like, how will people even know to come? I said, well, it's online and it's in the paper and I know there's no balloons and sandwiches, but like, I think
that's not why they came.
That's not why they came. And it worked out because he has a Ring doorbell.
So he saw the people come?
And God just showed up that day and sent like all the people.
Thank the Lord.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking to myself, if nobody comes, I'm pretty sure he might fire me.
Because you didn't have balloons.
He genuinely believes.
And snacks.
Right.
Well, he didn't know any different.
He texted me an hour into the open house and said, looks like it's going really well. Lots of traffic.
Okay.
And I said, yes, the marketing is working.
Oh, thank God.
That was my response. And I took really good notes and I gave really good feedback from the open house.
Love it.
But I tell this all to say, if you are newer or if you are slow and you only have 1 or 2 clients, there's nothing wrong with having limits and boundaries on what you do for your listings.
You can't change your standards for those because when you're busy, you won't be able to live up to the standards.
And people always say, I wish I had more business. I wish I had more business. But if you are not handling the business you have professionally and you have no boundaries, you can't handle more business.
Yeah.
You have to conduct your business in a way that you could throw in 5 more clients at one time.
Right.
And they would all get the same level of service.
Yeah.
And you would keep your mental capacity, because the biggest thing when I was reading about like emotional boundaries is that it all comes down to like our energy.
Yeah.
We all have a limited supply, and it's not like we have X amount for work and X amount for friends and X amount for family.
It's just for the day.
It's just you all have the same amount of time and energy in a day. And if you are just giving it all away all the time, not only does it deplete you, but there are studies out there that show that people who have boundaries have more respect from others.
I can imagine.
Their clients, their peers, I mean.
Right. It may be hard to start, but it will not be a bad decision.
No.
Nothing bad will come out of you having boundaries.
Right. And the good thing is, as realtors, it can start at any time.
That's right, because your next client has no clue.
No idea that you have no boundaries right now. As long as you didn't sell their house
the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, any more notes on your emotional boundary? You're laughing. What is it?
So I heard this quote the other day that I really liked. It's like when people say like, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And then it was like, well, don't let anybody shit on you.
That's so funny.
And I wrote it down because I was like, how did I not invent that?
Right. Don't let anybody shoot on you.
Yeah, because that's
so good.
I know. I feel like I want it framed in my office somewhere because I'm like that. It's so perfect because that's where it comes from.
Yes.
The emotional boundaries come from when we are letting other people tell us how we're going to live our life, when we're going to answer. And we are so fortunate to be in a career where nobody dies.
That's right.
And it's okay to miss a call.
It's okay.
Or respond the next
okay
day.
To lose a client.
It's all okay.
You don't have to, they don't all have to work out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's so funny. Okay. That's a really good one.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, great. It's time for a toast.
Beautiful.
Okay, today's toast comes to us from Todd and Megan Kennedy. They are in Columbus, Georgia. And they are going to toast Kimberly Durham. Okay, let's see. We met towards the end of last year, and she loves community over competition just as much as I do. Yay. She is a breath of fresh air, and I'm so thankful for her friendship and support at showing our local community how we can lift our fellow realtor friends up. She exudes happiness and love. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Cheers to Kimberly.
Cheers, Kimberly.
And thank you to Megan. That was an awesome toast.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I love that. That's so good. All of our friends who love the community over competition. That's good. Okay, friends, we love you, but we will put our boundaries onto you.
Yes. Bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week. Bye.
This is the good life.